With the bars, callow, cocking with a hot pen. You can't kill it with this glove, it will not fit. Evidence will not stick. Rapping with a self-respecting southerner. So bro, what's in your pot? Those are not grits. Spit bars, I stand behind mine. Sentences I serve, maximize guidelines. My lawyer can't give me his advice when he's beast that I murder carry mandatory minimums of life. Yikes. In case you didn't get the point, we spit bars.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Maximum Sentence with its conviction behind the bars. I am your man, AJ Throwback. Great to be here with you on this awesome Sunday evening. Hold on, I gotta turn off because a lot of times when I have this thing on, I get all of these, you know, when I got it on vibrate, but y'all never mind me. But anyway, once again, great to be here with y'all on this awesome Sunday evening. Took last week off. Just had some personal things I needed to deal with and balance out. So I decided to bring the Webb-Walker conversation to this week. And then I actually ended up having a cancellation. So it made it available for this week. So we are here. If you've been keeping up, the last 3 episodes were about the A side of my latest single, Temple Thrills. And now we are on the B side of Temple Thrills, which is Webb-Walker. So just to give y'all a little bit of a glimpse of this single. But before we do that, before we even go there, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on the replay, first and foremost, thank you so much for watching. That's number 1. Number 2, if you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Hit that bell notification so whenever I go live, post a new video, premiere a new video, you'll be among the first to know, and you'll be able to join in on these conversations, because that's what the Maximum Sentence is all about. It's about creating conversation around the music. It's always going to be deeper than just the music. You know, I make the music I make, but I always like to be able to have honest conversations around the music because the music itself is honest. So, digging into this latest, the B-side of my latest single, Temple Thrills, which is Webb-Walker. This was a song that actually the title was inspired by the end of an Outkast song from, I want to say it's the Aquemini album. And what's awesome about Aquemini is that the album is about to turn 25 years old this year, y'all. September 29th, one of the greatest days in hip-hop history. And that day gave us Aquemini, and on that album, Synthesizer, which actually features the vocals of not only the legendary George Clinton, but also a group that a lot of people really slept on at that time, 4.0. They were a group that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had on their Perspective label. But the focal point, you know, I just had to throw that out there because I like throwing 4.0. They really didn't get enough props. And also, they were singing on Soul Food by Goody Mob, by the way. So look them up. You know what I'm saying? 4.0, they were a dope group that just didn't get enough shine. But anyway, so on Synthesizer, George Clinton says a line basically saying, cyber sexy Wendy, web walking in the nude, a digital good time, a digital good time. She'll lap dance on your laptop while your laptop's in your lap. Always flub that line. A digital good time, a digital good time. So the song, my song, Webb-Walker, is largely inspired by that set of lines from George Clinton in Outkast Synthesizer. And so I decided to write a song about, just keep it real, about pornography. A lot of us watch it, or a lot of us have watched it at some point of our lives. It's just one of those things that's just kind of part of the narrative. You know, in my case, unfortunately, the way that I first learned to understand what sex looked like was through watching porn. And you know, this song is really just kind of sort of a deep dive into it because Temple Thrills set up Webb-Walker. In the third verse, it sets it up. but the whole conversation really about sex, because a lot of times we as men, we don't necessarily always talk about those things publicly, and we definitely don't talk about it in songs. Like, I know a lot of people who do, they joke about it, but like not from a very layered perspective. It's usually like kind of sort of in jest, you know. Like one of the things I think about, one of the songs I think about is I think it's Show 'Em off of Devin the Dude's first album, where basically like he's talking about like lotion and, you know, in the bathroom he about to do his thing before his homie bring these two girls or whatever. And like that whole scenario, I think a lot of dudes specifically can like relate to that, you know. But like I don't necessarily talk about, hold on, my computer's doing something very weird that I didn't ask it to do. Anyway, but yeah, I'm talking about it from the perspective of a couple of different things: voyeurism, but also like, okay, like getting so deep into the world that you feel like you are a part of the world, but also looking at it regretfully. So what I'm going to do to break this song down, because there's no hook really to it. I mean, it's like kind of a hook at the end of the song, but I'm going to break it down into 4 parts. So I'm going to play the first third of it, then the second third, then the third third, and then the hook, and kind of break it down that way. So let's, instead of me doing a whole bunch of talking, let's go ahead and just let the lyrics speak for themselves. Let's get into it, y'all.
I often wonder about you, beyond the business admiration. What's your former dream? Was it a business aspiration? Venture capital, stocks and bonds? Your Wall Street ambition rose with 9 o'clock alarms. A litigation in the meanest pair of Louboutins. Me, devil's advocate without Keanu losing wits. Maybe pediatric medicine and soothing kids. The lewd issue lets you momentary deadbeat. Loses kids as you numb to the monotony. Watching these sloppily. Bodily fluids probably bottled for about a week. Hot commodity, several spots at top commonly. Money shot is gotta be jagged edge, watch your teeth. As I concoct an option that would top the scene. Top the stream, that and not you watching him, but watching me. Versus red roof ends, we hit the double tree. Hit a couple trees, and you chuckle when your bubble squeeze. I'm born sucker for the nectar.
So we'll come back to that after that. So let's start from the beginning. So the part in the beginning, I often wonder about you. Beyond the business admiration, what's your former dream? Was it a business aspiration? Venture capital, stocks and bonds. Your Wall Street ambition rose with 9 o'clock alarms. Or litigation in the meanest pair of Louboutins. Keanu Witz, I literally just played it. But that whole part, the first, I would probably say 6 to 7 bars, is really kind of sort of peeling back the layers of the women that are in these adult films, porn films, whatever you want to call it. Just kind of sort of peeling back the layers. Like, do you go into, it's like really just kind of sort of looking like, do you go into pornography like saying, I definitely want to do pornography? Or is it just one of those things where it's like, okay, somebody kind of sort of talks you into it? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you feel like you just need the money. Whatever the case is, like, okay, did you get into this business? This business that can be very exploitative of women specifically, because it's a male-dominated industry like a lot of industries are. Like, did you get into this business just because this is what you wanted to do? Did you have other goals that you wanted to do before doing this? You know what I'm saying? Or other than this, because you could do that and very well do the other things. You know, like, it's one of those things like, who are you beyond what I see on the screen? That's really what like those bars look into. Because I'm that type of person, like when I see somebody on the street, if I see somebody just out and about, whatever it might be, I'm always like, I wonder what that person is like behind closed doors. You know, like what type of things are they into? Like what type of music do they like? What's their family life like? How do they relate to other people? What are they like when they're angry? Like I ask those type of questions of myself, because it's like everybody I see on the street, it's almost like I'm kind of sort of you know, like I ain't gonna say kind of, sort of, I am a people watcher in a lot of ways. And I always like create stories about certain people based on the energy that they give me. You know, it might not even necessarily be their story, but sometimes I create stories about people in my head based on the energy that I receive when I see them out and about. So all of those scenarios that I laid out, like as somebody who looks deeper than the surface, like these are the things that I'm like, okay, well, you know, what kind of person are you for real? You know, beyond the screen, beyond like all of these things that's happening on the screen. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's really what those opening 6 to 7 lines are about. Because I think then I said, and see the transition is very important. Hold on, let me put, because I feel like I have the line, because you know, sometimes it's just better because there's so many lines and like I don't remember all of my bars all the time, like word for word. Like I do, but I don't. Okay, so I say maybe pediatric medicine is soothing kids. In lieu of this, you let your momentary dad be deadbeat, lose his kids. Like, you know, because rappers, a lot of times when it comes to certain things, we tend to do this whole wordplay when it comes to, let's just keep it real, ejaculation. You know, we you know, rappers have said crass things like, you know, swallow my kids and all that type of stuff. And like then the whole thing of, and I'm not gonna lie, it's always weird to me when women call men daddy in bed. Like that's just really weird to me. It's weird energy. You know, I know like it's one of those things that's like it's become a part of the narrative, but it's like it's never been one of those things that's really felt that comfortable to me. It's like yeah, let's not do that. Let's not go that route. But knowing that that's how people talk, that's why I said in lieu of this, you let your momentary dad be deadbeat, lose his kids. You know, and then transition as you're numb to the monotony. As you're numb to the monotony, washing these sloppily, bodily fluids probably bottled for about a week. Hot commodity, several spots atop commonly. Money shot has gotta be. Jagged edge, watch your teeth. So, because a lot of times when it comes down to porn, and going back to the whole thing of it being very male dominated, the whole thing is the money shot. And the money shot often is, you know, when a man ejaculates. Like the focal point, unfortunately, in pornography, a lot of times is not about the woman's pleasure. It's about the man's pleasure. And frankly, that's one of the things that, you know, as somebody who has watched porn, that's one of the things that I don't really like about porn. It's like, okay, well, what about the woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, what about her pleasure? Like, is she really enjoying that? Especially in the joints where it's like they just like pile driving a woman. You know what I'm saying? Just jackhammer. It's like she cannot be enjoying that. You know, and a lot of times, like most times you can tell because it's like the moans don't sound authentic. You know, it's so many things when it comes to porn and why like it's just the most degraded, low vibrational version of sex or representation of sex that's out there. You know, but it's one of those things that, you know, for a lot of us who have watched it, it's still entertaining. We still like it because it's the visual, especially for us men. It's the visual that goes along with it. You know, the shape of a woman's body, how she looks, all of these different things that we really get into. And a lot of times we overlook all of the things that I'm saying in terms of the deeper layers behind what we're watching because, you know, we want to see the visual. We want to be able to enjoy it. We don't want to think about all that, you know. But this woman had sat there and like took it basically, and she gotta wash stuff off. She gotta disinfect stuff out, like all of these different things. She gotta get checkups. I mean, the dudes gotta get checkups too, you know. But it's just like there's a lot that goes into being an adult film star, especially for the women, because it's like they're expected to perform a certain way. They're expected to look a certain way. You know, the pressures that they have to deal with And not just in a male-dominated industry, it's a white male-dominated industry, you know. And granted, like I could go even deeper, you know what I'm saying? But I kind of want to move the conversation along as much as I possibly can. And anybody who's here, you know what I'm saying, definitely let me know that you're here. 2, I appreciate you being here. And 3, if there's anything that you want to contribute to the conversation, please feel free. If there's any lyrics that you hear that I put out there and you find compelling, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't just do this for my own edification or my own, just to hear the sound of my voice. I like to be able to have real conversations about real topics like these, you know. So let me go to another set of lines. But yeah, numb to the monotony. It's like, are you to the point that because you do this so much, because the fascination that I've had when it comes to it, like I've watched interviews with certain women, and you know, like whether it's been like Vlad had certain women on his platform, other people, like I've seen them have the conversations, and sometimes it's just a matter of the women, the people, because it's been dudes too I've seen, they just enjoy sex that much. Other people, it's like, you know, certain aspects of it they like, and then other aspects of it they don't like. You know what I'm saying? So it's only but so much numbness to the monotony that I think anybody in that field can truly have. You know what I'm saying? But then I go for what I say, as I concoct an option that would top the scene, topless dream, that and not you watching him but watching me. Versus red roof ends, we hit the double tree, hit a couple trees as you chuckle when your bubble squeeze. So for me, saying that, it's me putting myself in that position or putting myself in that situation with that particular, you know, person who, you know, with that woman that is like in the scene, that fantasy woman, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of dudes that have watched porn or still watch porn have their one that is like, okay, her, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they imagine themselves, or we imagine ourselves there with that particular woman, and how would the scenario go if we're there with them? You know what I'm saying? Will we go as like gangster as some of these dudes be going in these joints? Especially, I hate to say it, but especially in the black porn joints, like a lot of them dudes be disrespectful as I don't know what. Like, it's crazy, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, what would I do if I had that opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like, how would it look? How would it come across? You know what I'm saying? Would it be hella raunchy? Would it be like hella tasteless? Or would there be some like aspect of, okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of taste in this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put a little bit, maybe not like romance necessarily, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna have a little bit more finesse in how I approach it, you know? And I think that's really a lot of times the gift and the curse of watching pornography, is that like you lose a little bit of connection with reality and how really the whole sexual experience should go. You know what I mean? Especially if you've been watching it from like youth. That's part of the problem. And a lot of times with us as men, because it's so joked about, it's so talked about, it's so put in our faces, like sex is put in our face like all the time. And it's not to say that women don't watch porn. I know plenty of women who watch porn, and I know some women who watch more porn than I did. like that's their thing. And it's like, I don't knock nobody for doing it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I feel like there's so many different things, and we gonna kind of sort of get to more of those things. But before I even get too far ahead of myself, let's go ahead and get into this next set of lyrics right here.
I'm born sucker for the nectar of a southern peach. Best poetry, I love to speak is off the muffled speech. Then you trouble me with all your little subtleties. So good I utter, baby love, can we cuddle please? Mascara, sweat, brown liquor stains. How often have our weekends only let the wind wicked games. When some nights are just fun, period. Others come furious, but done it quickly, I become serious. Morose said all the times we cut it close. Come to loads with a few ticks ago, I love the most. While you freshen up with warm washcloths, does so, puppet scope. I'm reminded how my lessons cutthroat. So self-absorbed, knowing I'm spoken for. A high percentage shot of being caught if someone opened doors. Evidence of a separatist, Scott's tissues and regrets. Followed by a slew of expletives, and she don't have to rest.
All right, so roughly the first 8 bars of that. A born sucker for the nectar of a southern peach. Born sucker for the nectar of a southern peach. Best poetry I love to speak is often muffled speech. So, of course, southern peach, big booty. And not only just a big booty, but, you know, a lot of times, like, I like women who got southern accents, you know, like in a lot of these movies. Or I liked a lot of women who, you know, had these accents in a lot of these movies. But best poetry I love to speak is often muffled speech. It's the whole thing of like gags or, you know, like just quietness. Like we ain't talking. Like, let's just get to it, you know. Then you trouble me with all your little subtleties. So good I utter, baby love, can we cuddle please? You know, like it's the whole thing of like the experience is so good that it's like, all right, I wasn't trying to, you know, to be all like soft and cuddly and all that, but it's like, dang, it's that good. You know what I mean? Like that's the fantasy. Like that's the expectation. That's what you want. Like I want something that good that it makes me feel that way, even if I'm not that way at the end of it. Mascara, sweat, brown liquor stains. How often have our weekends only led to wicked games? So like that's actually a play on words right there. But mascara, sweat, brown liquor stains, like it actually, the visual from that actually, I've thought about a couple of experiences that I had in the past being in hotel rooms. And of course, you know, you in a hotel room, like the sheets is white. And if you with somebody who, you know, got a good amount of makeup on, and like y'all are really getting it in and, you know, y'all sipping good and all that stuff is going to reflect on the bed, you know. But then how often have our weekends only led to wicked games? That's a play on words when it comes to The Weeknd. Had a song, well, actually one of my favorite Weeknd songs, Wicked Games. But like we spend all this time together, like, or we have these excursions, we have these interactions with one another, and it's like we doing our best and doing our worst at the same time, you know. And then while some nights are just fun, period, that's also a play on words by the group Fun. That's the name of the group. They had a song called Some Nights. But it's just a good time. We having a good time. We enjoying ourselves. But then it says others come furious, but done and quickly I become serious. That is the most important line, perhaps, or one of the most important lines in the song itself. Because at that moment, now some dudes, you know, when they have their moment, they are like that. Some other dudes, you know, not so much. Me, it becomes one of those moments where it's like, okay, I got mine, I'm good, you know, like I start, but I'm good and I'm not good, because then I start thinking about things like, dang, you know, like we didn't had this moment, or like my conscience starts to set in. This is the point where my conscience starts to set in, but not fully. Like we get to that point, but this is the part where it's like, all right, I'm good. Like I don't, you know, I ain't gotta do no more. You know what I'm saying? Hope, you know, I make sure you got yours, but I got mine. I'm good. Like don't touch me. You know. But a lot of people are like that. Period. I'm not even gonna say just me or just dudes. Like a lot of women are like that too, but specifically guys. Like a lot of times when it's like we done got ours, yeah, we good. And it's not a thing like but I said others come furious, but done it quickly I become serious. It's like, you know, it's not this big show and like ridiculousness that often happens in porn with the dudes. Like a lot of times with the dudes, like it's like, what are y'all doing? It's just like, come on, bro. I mean, now granted, I'd have been in some situations where it was that good. It was like, okay, I get you, bro. But typically it's like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing all that. That's just too much. I feel like it's a little bit of acting on the dude's parts to really sell it when it comes down to it. But anyway, so then moving ahead, where I say morose at all the times we cut it close, come to loathe what a few ticks ago I loved the most. And once again, that goes to the I become serious. Like, but I have to read the next couple of lines to make it make sense. Why you freshen up with warm washcloths, Dove soap, cup of scope. I'm reminded of how my lust was cutthroat. So self-absorbed, knowing I'm spoken for. High percentage shot of being caught as someone opened doors. Evidence of a separatist. Scott tissues and regrets. Followed by a slew of expletives, and she don't have Tourette's. So those 8 bars are very important because it's like, okay, all of these times that I did this, and there are a lot of times, and I know a lot of dudes out there can relate to this, a lot of times we have women, but yet we're still, because we've been so, like, pornography, watching adult films, sex has been so ingrained in our psyche that even when we have women, a lot of times we still feel the need to do that because it's just habit, and we don't think anything of it because it's like, okay, it's just porn, it's not like I'm out here smashing somebody for real, but it's still feeding certain things into our spirit that create certain expectations that is like, okay, but that one is not really how sex goes anyway. It's a super dramatized version of it that more often than not does not live up to that. Number one. Number two, even if it does, it still doesn't look or sound or feel like that. Like it's a lot less histrionics involved. 3, again, it's the whole not accounting for, is everybody that's a part of this experience taken care of? Specifically the women. Is the woman taken care of in this scenario? And more often than not, no. But the reason why these 8 bars are so important is because, again, it's the whole thing of a lot of times we have somebody in our life and we find ourselves going in little corners of our house, our apartment, or wherever we are, and it's like, all right, let me just do this real quick, handle my business or whatever. And it's like it develops a bad habit or dependency. I don't want to necessarily say a bad habit, even though it is a bad habit, but a dependency on that. And that's why I said the whole evidence of a separatist. Scott tissues and regret. Like, you're separating yourself from whoever you're with. And even if you're not with somebody, it's still the whole thing of, okay, I'm not the type of person that'll say, I don't believe in learning how to please yourself. I do believe you should know what turns you on. Whether you're a man or a woman, you should know what turns you on. You should know what gets your motor going sexually. You should know your body. You should know, like, the different spots of your body, your erogenous zones, all of those different things. I really do believe in being in touch with those things. I will never be the person that'll sit there and be a prude about it. Like, no, I don't believe in being a prude about it. Like, you should know before anybody else knows, because if you don't know, then if somebody is not doing something to your liking, then it's like, how will you know how to guide them or how to help them to be better if you don't even know your own body? With that said, when it comes down to pornography, if it's something that becomes an addiction, because I mean, we've heard different people who've had porn addictions, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it creates a certain dependency, and not only does it create a dependency, but it also creates an extra appetite that maybe the person that you're with can't live up to, because once again, these are unrealistic expectations that are represented in pornography and adult films a lot of times, but more than anything, the separation, That's the biggest key right there. You know what I'm saying? And no woman wants to feel like, okay, I can't live up to that. It kind of sort of connects to the whole thing with strip clubs, which is ironic because I've never been in the strip clubs. Never been into it. It's never been my thing. Like, they don't do anything for me at all. I know friends who go to strip clubs fairly regularly. Maybe not necessarily every week, but they go regularly enough. I don't. And it's just it's not my jam. But for a very long time, pornography was my jam, and again, I think part of it for me was force of habit. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'm not getting any, so it's like, at least let me live the fantasy. But again, when you're so used to doing that, a lot of times, like a lot of habits that we learn in our youth, they're very hard to break after a while. And so let's go ahead and get to the next set of lines right here.
For that small voice of reason, who never guilty for my tall choice of treason. But try to tell me since my teens, all these scenes seem to grab your attention. But I'll hunt you when the one we had, that's for your affection. Not to mention, your soul endures such a necessary pain. Forging unions only good at being Mary Jane. Gateways to they demons, more drama. Is it really worth trading they pursuits for your honor? I pondered and I prayed, abstaining I resisted. But still wanna hit a different Molly's my addiction. An uphill battle in the fight for self-control is even more asinine when that don't help the goal. Never got it. Could tell a woman know who's in my face, but struggle putting cyber hottie Molly in a place. Yeah. Struggle putting cyber hottie Molly in a place.
Yeah. So that is a very honest set of lines right there. So we go back to, or that small voice of reason, who never guilts me for my tall choice of treason, but try to tell me since my teens, all these scenes seem to grab your attention, but I'll haunt you when the one we have asks for your affection. Once again, it's the whole thing of dependency. You depend on pornography to kind of sort of be the thing where, like, that gets you off, that excites you, that gets to your senses. And the feeling, it's constantly that feeling of once you kind of sort of reach that point, but then you good. And it's like, okay, well, who do you have to connect with in those moments once you're good? Because part of the beauty of sex and making love is when you have somebody there and, you know what I'm saying, you reach your point, you reach your climax, they reach their climax, and, you know what I'm saying, y'all have those tender moments afterwards and you talk and you connect, and it's the exchange of energy. But when it's you by yourself and your source of excitement and arousal is somebody that you've never met, that you probably will never meet, you probably will never have sex with, and like it's almost like, and this is your queen instead of this is your king. Is this your queen? Is this your bar? Is this what's gonna do it for you? And that's why the chorus is so important, and we'll get to that point. But it's like, okay, all of these things get your attention, they arouse you, but when you get to that point where you have that one woman that you're gonna be with for the rest of your life, and you have struggles or you have issues with intimacy, where do you think those struggles come from? What do you think they could possibly come from? And I'm speaking as if God is speaking to me. Again, God never made me feel guilty. And even if we want to get super duper technical in the Bible, it doesn't say anything about any of that. But it's almost implied from a spiritual perspective. It's almost implied that it's like, okay, consuming pornography is not necessarily the best thing if you want to keep a clean mind or a clean heart, especially when it comes to how you connect with and how you view sex. And again, I'm not the type of person that's going to beat anybody up for, their choices or whatever, because I've made my choices plenty of times in the past that I'm not proud of. It's a litany of them, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I am saying, like, from my own perspective, what I've been given and what has been a battle for me, because I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not still a battle. It is still a battle, but it's one of those things where, like, spiritually, it's been a tug of war. On one hand, I know what I like, I know what I enjoy, and I didn't necessarily, it wasn't me going out and actually doing it with somebody, but you might as well, because it's like you're still feeding your mind the images and the energy of someone else and pretending as if you're with that person, putting yourself in that position as if you're right there. You might as well. You might as well have slept with her, for real, for real. It's no different than you see a Joan walking down the street and they're really attractive to you, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you start fantasizing, you start picturing yourself with that person. It's really not that much different. For real, for real. But then moving ahead, not to mention your soul endures such unnecessary pain. Forging unions only good at being Mary Jane. That's just that whole line, like the forging unions only good at being Mary Jane. That's a play on words when it comes to Gabrielle Union. She played Mary Jane in Being Mary Jane. But also forging unions, like you're like creating these kind of sort of imaginary soul ties with these women. And the only thing that they're really good for is you chasing a high. Because I always think about my homie Country. One of the things he always says when it comes to us as men, and especially men who have a lot of sex. Now, I'm not that guy, but I know a lot of my friends who have had a lot of sex, who still have a lot of sex. And one of the things that he always says, is that a lot of times with us men, we are constantly chasing the high of that first time. You know what I'm saying? That we really has enjoyed sex with a woman, or we're chasing the high of the feeling of when we first get it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I said, like, only good at being Mary Jane, only good at being a high, only good at being an addiction. You know what I mean? But gateways to their demons, more drama. Is it really worth trading their physiques for your honor? Like, you never know. Like, that's why the beginning of it is important, because it's like, okay, this is the type of person that you might be or could have been or whatever. But there's also, when you create soul ties with anybody, whether it's physically, whether it's, imaginary, it's the whole thing of you don't know what baggage you're picking up from that person. And yeah, it's on the screen. Yeah, it's on your phone. Yeah, it's on your computer. Yeah, it's whatever. But at the same time, there's still, the energy is there. You're still getting that energy from that person regardless. It's no different than if you're listening to somebody's music and they have a certain energy attached to their music. It's in a certain frequency. It's vibrating a certain way. Watching pornography is no different. Watching any form of television is no different. The people who play these roles are still people. They still have certain stuff attached to them. And if you attach yourself too much to those people, now you're picking up you're potentially opening yourself up to receive some of their demons, so to say, on top of the ones that you're trying to battle yourself. And it's like, is it worth all of that? Is it worth trading the image that you see, trading the feeling that you get from watching this person do what they do on screen? Is it worth all that for your honor, for the things that make you great, for the things that keep you on the straight and narrow? And so then I pondered and I prayed. Abstain that I've resisted, but still want to hit a different Molly's my addiction. So the whole thing with Molly, and this is something I should explain earlier, but the whole thing of Molly is the purest form of ecstasy, as in the drug. I mean, like, it's not cut with anything. It's like, no, it's like straight boom, you getting this. And we'll dig into that a little bit more in the hook. But then it's an uphill battle for the fight in a fight for self-control. It's even more asinine when that don't help the goal. Never got it. Could tell a woman no who's in my face, but struggle putting cyber hottie Molly in her place. And the whole thing is, in an uphill battle in a fight for self-control. Hold on, I need some water. I can already feel it. The tickle. Excuse me, y'all. So, the reason why that line is important is because, if I'm being honest, addiction has been an issue in my family. And it's one of those things where everybody has had different addictions. Everybody has had different things or afflictions, different things that they've had to battle or whatever. And, you know, for some it's been drugs. For some it's been alcohol. For some it's been gambling. For me, it has been women, period. I'm not even gonna say just sex. It's been women. And so that's something that I've had to fight. It has been an uphill battle for me. And that is just one layer of that uphill battle. That's why Molly Webb-Walker had to be on the B side of Temple Thrills, because it's all interconnected in that struggle. And so, but the thing is, it's even more asinine when that don't help the goal. Like, if I'm trying to fight this uphill battle, but I'm constantly feeding myself this thing that is defeating what I'm trying to do, then it's like, okay, well, how am I ever going to break free of this habit that I have if I keep feeding the beast, so to say? When is enough going to be enough? And then, never got it. Could tell a woman no who's in my face, but struggle putting cyber hottie Molly in her place. And that goes to the fact of, like, I'll never forget, it was this one time. This is like when I was about 20 years ago, actually. Now I was about 24 years old. In fact, it was like right around my 24th birthday. And there was this girl who, you know, like we were getting hot and heavy. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. We were getting hot and heavy, and I said no, because I was talking to somebody at the time, but we weren't really all the way together. But I was trying to lightweight be true to her, you know what I'm saying? Not do nothing crazy, even though, you know, I was, you know, she was kind of sort of doing her thing. I was more or less doing mine, but we were still trying to make it work. But we weren't, like I said, we weren't officially together. So it was one of those complicated situations. But I'm sitting here with this girl, and like, I told her no. And she was like, I've never had a man tell me no before. I'm like, well, first, all I could think was first time for everything. You know what I mean? But it was one of them situations where it's like, that was one of many situations where I've been able to say no. Now, there's been certain situations where I should have said no and I didn't. But there have been plenty of situations where I said no. And I can say no to somebody who's right there. Like, the opportunity is right there for me to do it with this person. Now, I don't take it. But somebody who I'm never going to meet, who I'm never going to see, I'm never going to have sex with, and I can't tell this person no, or I can't tell this thing no. Like, what's up with that? You know? So it's a very honest account of the struggle of, like, dealing with having pornography and adult films as a part of my life, as a part of my narrative, specifically my sex narrative, for pretty much my entire life. Like, I think the first time that I'd ever seen, like, pornography, a magazine, probably younger, but an actual movie, I had to have been 11 years old. That's too young. That's too young to be exposed to that. I just don't feel like, one of the things that I don't like about our society is how much sex is put in front of all of our faces, but how easily accessible it is for kids. Because here's the thing about being 11. I'm a kid. And even if it was later when I was like 15, 16, I'm still a kid. My brain still isn't fully formed. Like, I still would have another 9 to 10 years before my brain is fully formed. And I don't believe that a child is fully in the mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual place to really understand the gravity and the depth and the weight of sex. Like, it shouldn't be something that we're exposed to at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, our kids should not be exposed to these things. Specifically, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I knew that I was gonna have this conversation tonight. I told my son, like, okay, you gotta go in your room and you gotta close your door, because this is not a conversation he should be hearing. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that I won't have the conversation about sex with him. That's different. You have to have that conversation with your kids, because you don't want them learning it from anywhere else. But at the same time, certain conversations kids don't need to hear. Let kids be kids. And the moment that sex gets involved into it, and whether it's from a healthy perspective or an unhealthy perspective, you know, like, I think about all of the people who have been abused, sexually abused in their lives. And it's because somebody decided, I'm going to introduce sex to you at an age that is way too young for you to understand, way too young for you to realize what is happening in this moment. Like, once that happens, it changes a person forever. And so while this isn't necessarily as deep as that, it's still one of those things, like, I still was too young to know about this, to learn about it in the way I did. I'll just put it like that. So let's go ahead and get into the hook to the song, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this joint up.
Molly's on the prowl for a good time. Looking for some trouble that you should find. Lap dancing on your laptop, smartphone. Make you tune out the whole world with a charm home. MDMA in her recipe. And she just wanna take you straight to ecstasy. But she don't wanna talk, console yourself. Getting quick to the next while you left to hold yourself.
Yeah. So this goes back to a couple of bars that I said a couple of minutes ago, where so let's break it down. Molly's on the prowl for a good time, looking for some trouble that you should find. Lap dancing on your laptop, smartphone. Make you tune out the whole world with her charm, Holmes. MDMA in a recipe, and she just want to take you straight to ecstasy. So that goes back to the whole thing I was saying about Molly. Why I decided to name it Molly Webb-Walker. You know what I'm saying? Once again, the reference back to Synthesizer by Outkast, where George Clinton is saying, cyber sexy Wendy, Webb walking in the nude. I couldn't name her Wendy because it'd been too obvious. So I decided to name her Molly, because it's like, when you have that moment, when you get yours, it's that feeling of pure ecstasy. And so, but Molly's on the prowl for a good time. Once again, that's the reference to cyber sexy Wendy, Webb walking in the nude. Looking for some trouble that you should find. Lap dancing on your laptop, smartphone. Make you tune out the whole world with a charm, Holmes. It's like the accessibility. When I say lap dancing on your laptop, smartphone, the accessibility of pornography now in this day and age is even greater than it was when I first discovered porn. When I first discovered porn, we talking tapes. VHS tapes. We talking DVDs. We talking like that particular era. So now you think about things like Pornhub. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always talks about Pornhub. You know, like, now it's free. Now you don't have to sit there and get the little box they used to send the Jones in to make it all discreet. Like, yeah, we'll send it to you in a box that nobody will know what it is, and it'll just have an address in California, you know, somewhere, and, you know, we'll be very discreet. Now it's like, people don't care about that anymore. They don't care about being discreet. It's like, people proud of it. Like, you don't watch porn? You know, like, versus the time when I started watching it, it was like, It's like you ain't really want to admit it except with your homies, you know. And even then it was like, you know, like y'all kind of sort of talked about it in jest. You know what I'm saying? You might talk about which of like your favorite porn stars or whatever. But even still was like the conversation only got but so deep. Because the scenes were so deep. I mean, you know, half them scenes is trash anyway. They try to like create plots. Nobody cares about the plots. You know, it's like just get to the good part. You know what I mean? But the whole thing is, it's like that's how easy it is, and it's the connection back to synthesizer. Like, look at where we are as a society. And mind you, again, synthesizer is almost 25 years old. I mean, the song itself probably is 25 years old at this point, because a lot of times when people record albums, it's usually like the year before the album drops, or a lot of times it's the year before the album drops. But this is where we were. Think about how forward thinking that song was. 1998. And they're talking about something that is the norm in 2023. The norm. Like, the accessibility is just like, it's sometimes it blows my mind. Like, yo, I can just go on my phone. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. Or I can go on my laptop. Boop, 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 boop. Doo-doo. Pull it up. And the amount of niches that you can find. Before, you had to get basically one tape with one theme, and you had to like let that joint carry you for however long you let it carry you. Now it's like, if you got whatever that you might be into, just type it in, it's there, guaranteed, it's there. And there's so many different fetishes out here, and this is like, bro, like this is crazy where we are now with it, you know. But it's the whole thing, make you tune out the whole world with a charm, Holmes. Like, you don't think about anything else going on. You don't care like who could walk in or whatever. It's like, all right, I'm gonna tune this out. Like, I'm in this. Like, I'm in this scene. Whatever this scene is, like, I'm into it. You know what I'm saying? MDMA in a recipe, and she just want to take you straight to ecstasy. But she don't want to talk. Console yourself. Hit and quit to the next while you're left to hold yourself. That, once again, goes back to the whole thing of you're doing all this fantasizing, you're doing all of this stuff for somebody who you're never going to meet, you're never going to have sex with, and probably couldn't care less about you in real life, who's probably out of your league more than likely. Because there's a good chance that if you have to resort to that, and I'm not saying like it's an automatic that you got to be, you know, some kind of a loser or anything like that, but I mean, because look, I did it for years now. I don't proclaim to be like this Don Juan type dude, like I could get anybody I want, but at the same time, it's like I felt the need to resort to it. So what is that saying about me? And that's being real about it, you know. But it's like, but the whole point is she don't care about all that. She's there to do a job. It's not even a thing where it's always necessarily enjoyable for her. She's there to do a job. It pays the bills. Like, literally, she is doing, like, she's getting paid to do this. That's all it is for her. Now, she might enjoy it with somebody else that she really into or whatever, but when it comes to going in, doing a video, it's like, this is work. This is what she gets paid to do. So to sit there and expect somebody to be into you who you can't even talk to, who you can't even lay next to, it's unrealistic. And it's like, you are literally, it's like, okay, how many dudes is doing the same thing? Is getting off to this woman. And I'm just specifically putting it on the women because us as men, we're the ones a lot of times who talk about pornography, like shamelessly. So it's like, I'm making it specific to us as men. Like, how many other dudes is she having this effect on? Hell, if you had any of these porn stars as like, you know, got, their own IG accounts. I can only imagine if certain women who aren't even in that field, if the thirst traps on IG, they ain't even doing that, but yet they got their pictures and they throw their little thirst trap pictures out there and they get all them dudes in their inbox. Imagine how many more dudes and women these women who are porn stars have in their inbox all the time. And for them it's like, all right, whatever. A million other dudes is trying to get in my inbox. A million other dudes is trying to get at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are not saying anything new to me, So, this jank did something real weird. So it's just always interesting to me whenever I see stuff like that. But that's the point of ending the song that way. Like, because it's like, what are you doing this for? What is the end game? What do you get out of it? Are you truly pleased at the end of it? Is it fulfilling or is it an empty feeling? And for me, being honest with myself, and specifically where I am in my life, it's an empty feeling because it's not the same as being with the one you love and sharing that real intimacy, that real connection. You're not going to get that from somebody that's on screen. You're just not. You can't even truly get that feeling by yourself. Like, even if you take the pornography aspect out of it, you're not going to truly get that feeling by yourself because it wasn't meant, sex isn't one of those things that's really meant to be by yourself. If that were the case, we're just keeping it real. If a man could just do it by himself, why even create a woman? I'm not saying that that's the only reason that woman was created, but part of the reason of having a man and a woman is so the man wouldn't be alone, the woman wouldn't be alone. And part of the togetherness is sex. Let's keep it real from a biblical perspective. Sex is talked about a lot in the Bible. A lot. Let's not act like it's not. It's talked about a lot. And there's a reason for that. Because it's a sacred act. And when you degrade it, I kind of compared it when I was talking about Temple Thrills. I compared pornography versus real sex as the difference between an MP3 and a wave. A wave, that is one of the best audio versions when it comes to, like, if you are in a studio and you're an artist and you're recording your song, you don't want to get an MP3 from your engineer. You want to get a wave. If you look at the megabytes on a wave, let's just say your average 4-minute song, you're gonna be somewhere in like the neighborhood of 50, 60 megabytes for that wave. But when you bounce it down to an MP3, at best you might get 10 megabytes. But notice the difference. 60 versus 10 or 50 versus 5. Huge difference. It's a degraded, that's the difference between real sex, real intimacy with somebody versus watching it, watching somebody do it. Basically being a voyeur. It's not the same at the end of the day. I want to see, hold on one second, because I think I got some comments for some people. Shout out to my main man, one of the first people to buy the single and bought my whole discography, my man Craig Kilgore, Next Level. He said, it's so crazy now. I really feel for the young people. They see too much way too soon. Absolutely. And this goes to what I was saying earlier. Plus, it warps what people expect from love and relationships. Man, when I tell you, I think part of the problem with what I hear in music, if I'm being real, is the warped sense of how we connect to sex, or how people connect to sex and love and relationships. You hear it in the music. These songs aren't about love. Like, even when people, and excuse my French, but it's a difference between somebody say fucking you and fucking on you. It's like, I don't know, like, call me weird, but it's like if I hear somebody say, I'm fucking you, it's like, at least it's like, okay, there's somewhat of an exchange. But if I'm fucking on you, it's like, I don't even need you. I don't even necessarily need to go up inside you. It's like, like, it's not the same attachment. You know, that's how I see it now, or that's how I view it now. It's weird, but it's like, first and foremost, I hate the saying "fucking on your bitch." I hate that saying with a passion. With a passion. It's one of the phrases that I wish would die a quick, fiery death. Just kill that saying, like, forever. Hate it, because it's like there's no real attachment to it whatsoever. And then on top of it, it's the whole celebration of like taking somebody else's, you know, woman, or taking somebody else's man, you know, on the reverse side of that. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But it's just different now. And to say that the proliferation and the prevalence of pornography in our society, and how popular it is, and how cool it is, how much cooler it is now than it was in the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s. It's just like, it's hard not to say that it's not a contributing factor. Or you can't deny that it's a contributing factor. That's really what I'm trying to say. You can't deny that it's a contributing factor in so many things. Like I said, in movies, in film, in TV, there are so many references to pornography, and honestly, more often than not, in jest. But sometimes, because it's in jest, it makes it more cool. And it's like, okay, well, why don't we have real conversations about this type of stuff? And that's one of the reasons why I did this song, because I wanted to have a real conversation about it. I wanted to talk about my own journey when it comes to it, and, you know, how I struggle with it. But also just to have a real conversation about like the depths behind that world, because there's so many things. I think we talked about it even in college, maybe my senior year. We talked about like adult films and the problem with them being from the male gaze. And the problem when things are from the male gaze is that it's to suit the man. It's to suit their fantasy. And it doesn't account for how the women feel in those situations, what the women want or need out of those situations. And that's another one of the biggest problems when it comes to what Craig just said about, you know, warps what people expect from love and relationships. It's teaching people to say, you know what, I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to get mine. If you get yours, that's neither here nor there for me. You know what I'm saying? If you get it, if you get yours, cool. But I'm about getting mine first. Because it doesn't just teach men that. It teaches women that, because men have been taught that. And so the women have to overcompensate and feel like, well, you know, these selfish dudes out here, you know, I gotta look out for me, girl. I gotta take care of mine. And on one hand, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Definitely look out for yourself, but not to the point where you don't consider the other person. And that's one of the biggest downsides to how the porn industry has been and how it continues to be. And to be honest, it's probably worse now than ever, you know? So I could have a whole nother conversation about pornography, you know, another day, but I just wanted to, you know, just really open it up and just allow this song to kind of sort of guide me along this path of really just kind of breaking down my own journey and what a lot of people struggle with. You know, like I said before, a lot of people struggle with this as a legit addiction, as if it's cocaine, as if it's alcohol, as if it's gambling, as if it's an actual sex addiction, like having sex with multiple people, you know, like compulsively. People really are battling this type of thing. And it's something, again, a lot of people have been exposed to in their youth, and it's hard for them to break it. So for me, it's just a matter of like taking the power back and saying, you know what, I want a healthier relationship than sex. And that's just that simple. So if this conversation has inspired you in any way, definitely let me know in the comments. Or, you know, you just got some value out of this conversation, definitely let me know in the comments. And if you've heard bits and pieces of the song and say, you know, I really like this song, definitely feel free to buy the song. It's on my Bandcamp page. Let me run that across the crawl real quick. It is the B-side to my latest single, Temple Thrills. It is available on my Bandcamp page, ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. Once again, that's ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. Or you can go to my website, which is bammllc.net/music. Or you can go to the homepage, bammllc.net. It's right there. It's the first thing that you see on the homepage. You can get both songs on the single, Temple Thrills and Molly Webb-Walker. I definitely appreciate everybody who's been supporting the song so far. My man Craig, not only did he buy the song, he bought my whole discography. If you're feeling froggy and you really want to support, definitely buy the whole discography. I appreciate everybody who has so far. Bandcamp Fridays is coming up real soon, so you might want to jump on that. And by the time Bandcamp Fridays comes along again, there's going to be another single to drop the day before. So I ain't mad at you if you wait until the next Bandcamp Friday, which will be March the 3rd. So definitely stay tuned for that. I will not be mad at you if you wait until the next Bandcamp Friday, which is in less than 2 weeks now. February is like almost gone, y'all. It's crazy. It's almost gone. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who's been supporting so far. If you like the merch, I know I got the merch going and everything. Got my late shirt on today. I still have this on the website. Now, some of the stuff that I have on my website may not be there for much longer. Certain stuff is going to get phased out really soon. In the spring, I'm probably going to be running a sale to phase out some of the stuff that's still there. And then the staples I'm definitely going to keep. But if you like any merch that you see on me or that you've been seeing on me in the past couple of weeks, definitely please visit my webpage, bammllc.net/shop batch. Once again, that's bammllc.net/shop batch. My man Craig also has supported the merch, and I'm definitely appreciative of him for doing so. And everybody who's been supporting the merch and the music. And definitely make sure that you feel free to follow the Batch line on Facebook and Instagram at batch.202. Once again, that's batch.202, or on Twitter at batch_202. Once again, batch_202 on Twitter. If you're not already following me on social media, please make sure that you do that. I am at AJ Throwback, Facebook and Twitter. Once again, Facebook and Twitter at AJ Throwback, or on Instagram, TikTok at a.j.throwback. Once again, a.j.throwback on Instagram and TikTok, or I'm not gonna say or, you should be following me on all the platforms, but right here on YouTube, I'm at AJ Throwback 928. Once again, at AJ Throwback 928 here on YouTube. Please make sure that you follow, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. You're gonna get content like this all the time, and not just my music, because I'm gonna have some guests coming up real soon in the next month, 2 months. Definitely make sure that y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna be breaking down lyrics from other people's music as well. 2 weeks, that'll be the next episode. And thank you so much, my main man Jay in the Mix, another brother who's bought the whole discography. You know what I'm saying? Both of the brothers who decided, like, yeah, I'm gonna commit, I'm gonna lean in on my man's discography, are here tonight. So I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate your feedback on this. 2 weeks, that'll be the next episode. On that episode, it will be a breakdown of my upcoming single, which y'all will find out about come Saturday. I'm not going to tell y'all about it just yet, but just know that a new single will be coming out March 2nd. So definitely stay on the lookout for all of that promo, all that good stuff that'll be unfolding very, very soon. Definitely looking forward to dropping that single. Very much hip-hop driven, hip-hop related. I think a lot of people will be able to connect with it. And not even just hip-hop related, it's music related, the love of music. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to dropping that single, and the artwork is fire for the cover, so I'm definitely excited to drop the cover for it. But anyway, so March 5th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the next episode. So I appreciate everybody who has tuned in tonight. Thank you so much. If you tuned in live, I really appreciate you. If you tune on a replay, I appreciate you no less, because hey, people live life. So you might not always be able to catch it live, but if you are watching this period, I appreciate you. You could be spending your time doing anything else in the world, but you decide to spend it with me, and I thank you for that. So until the next time, I've been your man AJ Throwback, and this has been The Maximum Sentence, where there's conviction behind the bars. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see y'all 2 weeks for the next episode of The Maximum Sentence. Peace, y'all.